Okay, in this presentation, I will talk about violence and related to the documentary of NarcoCulture. So for the first part, identify the three types of violence proposed by Galtung and give an example for each. So according to the Norwegian sociologist Johan Galtung, who's generally considered the father of peace and conflict studies, violence can be split into three dimensions, which is represented in the typology of violence, it's called. And the first one is direct violence, which refers to physical and psychological, as these are visible and therefore often easy to detect and recognize. And an example of this is, for example, bullying, which includes physical actions such as hitting or pushing, and also psychological actions such as verbal abuse and threats. And the second one is structural violence, which refers to the economic, political, and social system when it creates inequality between individuals and groups, and a more privileged population. And this is often normalized in society, which makes it harder to detect. An example of this is systematic racism, where people of a specific race don't have the same education, employment, and healthcare opportunities as the privileged population. And the third and last one is cultural violence, which refers to the ideas, customs, social norms, and interactions that legitimize structural violence. So in the example that I gave before of racism, a structural violence, an example of cultural violence can be, for example, racist jokes or humor, which are often embedded in society, and in this way they normalize discriminatory behaviors. So in other words, the gravity of racism is minimized by normalizing it through humor, which reinforces inequality. And yeah, so number 2, explain the relation between the documentary and the concept of core capitalism of Sayek Valencia. So Sayek Valencia is a Mexican philosopher who is especially known for her concept of core capitalism, which connects capitalism with violence by explaining that capitalism has normalized and even glorified violence by turning it into a type of signifier of power. And in the documentary of NarcoCulture, this is evident in the way that drug cartels use violence as a signifier of power, where it has become commodified and represents power and dominance. And the documentary shows how violence has become so normalized that people even see cartel members as heroes. And number 3, describe how the documentary relates to the concept of the banality of evil. The banality of evil is a concept that refers to how many people in society conform to evil by blindly following the orders of a corrupt society. And in the documentary, this is evident in the way that the drug culture and violence has become so normalized that people forget the moral implications behind it. The documentary shows how in Ciudad Juarez, drug culture and violence have turned into such a normal part of people's everyday lives. So people ignore the wrongness behind it. And this also makes it easier for even more people to conform to evil because they don't recognize its gravity. And number 4, how does the conflict with cartels and narco-culture affect society in a global space and you on a personal level? So the conflict with cartels and narco-culture cause obvious problems in society, such as the spread of addiction and economical harm through corruption. But it also causes deep social problems such as insecurity, which affects everyone in society. And this is, for example, shown in the documentary in the case where a woman was threatened by the drug cartels, and they told her to pay them a certain amount of money or they would burn down her store. So this shows how drug cartels create a society in which people can't trust each other and live their everyday lives without fear and insecurity, which impacts everything from personal to economic stability. And personally, I've had the privilege to grow up in a country where this type of violence is almost non-existent, so it hasn't directly affected me, but it does affect me a lot emotionally when I hear about situations like these, because I find it so unfair that so many people have to live this type of life. So yeah, it makes me want to spread awareness about this problem. Thank you.